Today we added new faces to this wall behind me. These guys are dying way too young. There's too many of them. They shouldn't be dying at 52, 53 years old, and they are. That bothers me that these guys aren't here anymore, that they weren't able to hang around a little bit longer for their families. Our job is dangerous, but the hidden danger of our job is getting us.
We call this wall the cancer wall. It's a reminder of my brothers and sisters who have gone through what I'm going through.
Firefighters have very high risk for occupational cancers from their exposures on the job. The past several years, we've seen a lot of firefighters in the late 30s, early 40s come down with certain cancers that typically we see in people in the 50s and late 60s.
A lot of guys got it. A lot of guys walking around don't know they got it and probably do have it.
And I realized I had 2 little bumps right behind my clavicle. I remember pushing on it, squeezing, and no pain. Now, my wife happens to be a registered nurse. She felt the bumps. Her eyes opened up wide. She looked at me and said, "You need to call tomorrow." I was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Testicular cancer is a little different. They do not biopsy, they just pull your testicle right out, and then they biopsy.
I was 35 when I got diagnosed. All I could think about was dying young.
The cancer's taking a little bit more out of me. Every 3 weeks I go in for scans. Every 3 weeks I go in for chemo.
We don't want to see this. I don't ever want to see it. Unfortunately, we will.
There's a lot of firefighters' pictures that are on walls all across union halls in America and all across fire departments in America that lost their life due to cancer-related illness. I personally know myself, since I've been the mayor, 3 or 4 folks that have died.
We've had over 190 Boston firefighters succumb to occupational cancer since 1990.
My own brother, who has 31 years in the job, just came down with cancer.
No pain, no signal, nothing. The oncologist and my urologist told me that bladder cancer is a common cancer for firefighters.
You don't think it's gonna happen when you're this young, and hopefully it doesn't.
I was more fearful for my wife than I was for myself. Already I was feeling my mortality.
They're telling me that it's terminal, that it's incurable. I'm learning to accept it. I have cancer, but it doesn't have me. I just hope I stick around a little bit longer for my kids.
I'll never forget my first fire right out of the academy. One of the guys said, "Oh, don't put your mask on yet. Save it till you get to the fire." I said, "Okay." For a week, every time you take a shower, your pores open up and you can smell the smoke. You blow your nose for a couple of days later and that's all you have is black coming out of you. I never thought of it back then, but I think of it now. Man, what was that stuff doing to my insides?
When there's smoke, there's cancer. I really want firefighters to remember that. Exposure to particulates within smoke can cause cellular changes. These cancer-causing chemicals travel into the bloodstream, set up in different organ systems, cause DNA damage, mutations, abnormal cell growth, and cancer develops.
As soon as you can see 2 feet in front of you, you take your mask off and go to work. Well, that's probably one of the most dangerous times because it's floating around and you let your guard down. The smoke is loaded with carcinogens. It's not conducive to life, smoke.
There was a fire in a power plant in 2002 in South Boston where we had 9 alarms and over 200 Boston firefighters responded. Over 50 of those members have developed a significant cancer, cardiac issue, or lung disease, and 15 have succumbed to their exposure. Mark Matthews, Billy Foley, Kevin McNiff were all at that fire, as well as Glenn Preston. Glenn, 40 years old, 4 young children under 8. It was his first significant fire.
The chemicals that were involved in that fire, the carcinogenics that were being given off, it was like you were working on an oil dike. Whatever was burning, mineral oil or whatever, it just wouldn't go out with water. I'd never seen smoke like it. In your mouth, in your eyes, in your ears, in your nose. Unfortunately, the mask we had back then wouldn't stay secure to our face because of the oil coming down our face. So we took a beating.
We're working with Dana-Farber to identify the risks to the members that responded to that fire and try to get them into early screening and testing to hopefully catch something in its incipient stage.
I really do believe that that fire is why John's up in that wall, why I'm sitting here, and why Matthews is up in that wall, why Frankie Flynn's no longer here. That fire is, in my opinion, where we all got cancer. But I went right back to the firehouse with that gear I had and put it on the next fire I went to and used that gear for quite a while before we finally put it out of service.
The dirtier your equipment was, the more work it appeared that you did and the more macho you were. You come back, you smell like smoke, you don't jump in the shower right away, you don't wash your clothes, and your bunker gear just sat with the smoke and the soot on it.
Everyone thinks they're invincible. After almost 32 years, I find out I'm not so invincible. Someone asked me one time, "You have any regrets about becoming a firefighter?" I said, no regrets at all. I'd do it again. But what I would do, and I tell them this, is I'd keep my mask on more than I did.
Before Mark passed, he told me, "Rich, tell the guys, wear their face piece, clean their bunker gear." If he could do it all over again, he would.
Firefighting is an inherently dangerous job, and we are going to be exposed, and we are going to be in risky environments. We can reduce the chronic exposure to smoke and soot. It's taking that personal responsibility upon yourself to make sure you don't take smoke needlessly, that you're protected at all times in that hostile environment.
Boston Fire Department is fighting back against cancer.
Yeah, it just feels great that the department is investing in our safety.
They're doing a lot more to save us and save the future firefighters.
Health and safety of our members is of utmost importance, if not the most important thing we do on a day-to-day basis.
We want to make sure that there is life after the fire department.
We have to do more to make sure we protect our firefighters. Really looking at how do we make sure that this job is as safe as it can be, both while they're doing their job and then when they're not doing their job back at the firehouses. We need to make sure we have the best technology. We can't have a ladder truck pulling to a scene and breaking down.
We've been able to go out and buy 23 new engine companies for the city of Boston. Each one of them is coming with a 30-gallon foam bladder, which will give us significant capability on the fire ground, so firefighters aren't up close and personal being exposed needlessly. Car fires and dumpster fires use that foam and stay away from the smoke. Reduce that chronic exposure time and protect yourselves.
The new equipment we have seems to be doing that a lot better than what we used to have. Certainly, when I first got on the job, the equipment we had then was a jacket and a pair of pants. Now we have the jumper gear, we have the boots, we have everything.
The goal of having better bunker gear and having better SCBAs is to reduce the amount of time that we're being exposed. We have 45-minute bottles now, which help a great deal when we're doing overhaul. It gives us a little bit of extra time to be on air. We want to be able to protect the membership as much as we possibly can from the dangers that they're facing.
If it's going to keep those chemicals away from your body, that's great.
Our fire department's not changing. Our identity is not changing. But our approach to health and safety is changing.
We're really starting to see the cultural change. Firefighters are going to fires now. They're more cognizant of their environments. They're keeping their masks on. They're cleaning themselves when they come back. They're washing their bunker gear. And they're following all the different tactical changes we've made.
I did go for a physical every year, and that's how it was originally spotted. That was a come-to-God moment.
We really need firefighters to get comprehensive physical exams on an annual basis. The checklist that we use is a form that they bring to their primary care physician to get these aggressive screening tests at an early stage. The prognosis of catching cancers early in firefighters is excellent. There are many firefighters in Boston working today who feel blessed because they took part in our physical exams.
I think every time I go back to the doctors and they tell me I'm cancer-free, it's like a new day.
Compared to what I felt like back then, this feels great.
This could happen to any of us, and just try and be safe.
Wash your hoods, wash your bunker gear, wash your personal gear. If you notice anything abnormal that wasn't there before, regardless of whether you're feeling symptoms or not, go get it checked out.
Early detection is best. There's so many cures out there for so many cancers that were a death sentence before, now they're not.
You can beat cancer. I did it, living proof of it. You gotta have a little levity with it too. You can't let it sink you down and make you depressed. There's a lot of nicknames for me in the firehouse having one testicle. OB, one ball, and I roll with it.
What I've learned in 33 years as a firefighter is that you tend to develop a sense of invincibility. I'm here to caution you on that. The toxins and carcinogens that are produced by fire don't care about your sense of invincibility. They will attack, you will not see them, and eventually you will be diagnosed and you'll end up spending 30 years in a firehouse and yet only get 2 years in your beach house. Think about your wife, your children, your significant other, because that's the one that matters the most. It's about reaching retirement and enjoying your family, because you've truly earned it.